Hello everyone, it's Kay here. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm going to have a go at Q after I said it wasn't going to. Q4, hashtag ABC April 2025. That's hosted by Margreth of 7 Plaza and Toni of Crafted by Toni, and the links will be below in the description box. So I'm going to do quilt and quick make, theoretically. So I've got an index card here, and I've just got some squares of leftover paper from the 12 by 12 I'm using for my journal. And of course none of my squares are going to line up because you don't have to. But just remember, you don't have to for a quilt. They can be different sizes. So we'll have to see how I go. So I'm just going to piece it together. To me, an old-fashioned kind of quilt was made from pieces of scraps material left over, and quite often they were squares, and because it was an easy way to create a quilt. But these days quilts are amazing. They create patterns on them and texture and all sorts of lovely things. So if you haven't seen a quilt exhibition recently, if there's one near you or your local agricultural show, go and have a look, because there are some wonderful quilts out there. So I'm basically creating a little masterboard here. So just by using squares from my leftover scraps, and that's what a masterboard is using up your scraps to create a semblance of pieces, and you can use it then in your journals. So this will be in my journal. It'll be just as it is. I'm not going to change it at all. I think it's quite nice the way it is. Of course, my pieces are not going to line up, are they? This one's probably too big, that's why. Let's have a look at this one. I could have been exact and measured them all properly, but I don't tend to measure. Not my thing. I do try to measure for people that I'm doing YouTubes for, but this is just haphazard squares, and I've already reckoned my squares already by going over this one here. Which side shall I use? Just want to have that number on there, so I'm going to trim this to fit. And of course nothing's going to go on the end here. That's where the border comes in, because usually with a quilt there's some sort of border. Well, I shouldn't say that because I don't actually really know. I'm just assuming they have borders. But we could just cheat a bit and cut it off there. I'll just do that. Okay, so there's my little masterboard, my little quilt. Just trim it. Do I want a border? What will I use a border? What can I use for a border? Washi tape, maybe. I'm going to use my trimmer for this end. Here. If I wanted to, I mean, my printer is pretty good, and I have a scanner on my printer, so I could scan that if I wanted to use it again in my journal to create something else. So, but I'm going to do a bit of a border. Let me actually going to use not washi tape, but I'm going to use masking tape because I like the colour of it. Just having a guess at where I think halfway is, just by looking, because one thing about masking tape, because you can see through it, which is good. And this bit's coming off. Where was it coming down? There. And another one on the other side. Thinking where it's halfway. Just having a look through to see the halfway of the masking tape, like that way. There's halfway there, I think. So, pop it there. Sides are going to be a bit harder, I think. Oh no. I didn't cut that very well, did I? And if I had, I probably should have used washi tape, but I don't really have very many plain washi tapes, certainly not in this colour scheme, so erring on the side of caution by using the masking tape. I could colour in the masking tape, I suppose. I felt so inclined. So then you've got that side to write on. I wonder, I'm not sure if it will actually ink up very well though. Oh, okay, this looks alright. Just trim that bit off there. Oh, and I just realised I saved that number and now I've hidden it anyway. No. No, well. I suppose I could run a bit of washi tape down the middle there to sort of create something, or even stitch it. I might even stitch it to give that effect. Or I have seen Natasha on Treasure Books, she just used a pen. If I can find one that's sort of thicker. Don't want it too thick though. Might have to use, excuse me, I'm just looking at my pens here, and just do it myself, hand drawn. Because of the different thicknesses of the paper, it's hard to do it sort of like fluidly, like, you know, like that kind of movement. So that's why it's sort of very not fluid. That's the word I'm looking for. Whoops. Would help if I stuck it down better, wouldn't it, really? I mean, this is what I used to do for all of my makes before I got a sewing machine, and even now I still use hand-drawn stitching sometimes because some of the things are too small, too small to run it through a sewing machine. Well, I think they are anyway. And around the edges. Time consuming, isn't it? Looks effective though. This way, this one I can do fluidly. Mine's not very even. Can you imagine doing one of these by hand? My goodness, it would take forever. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because the first quilt, I actually did make a quilt a long time ago, and it was all hand sewn because I didn't know how to use a machine very successfully. Didn't have a machine. Never been sort of brought up to sew, except for buttons and darning socks. That's about it. Even at school, because of the class I was put in, did languages instead of useful things like sewing. There's my quilt for Q. Quick, and a quick make. It was quick. Well, I think it was quick. And that's just going to go in my journal as is. If I wanted to, I could decorate it with something. But I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm quite happy with the way that turned out. That'd be perfect little journaling card as well. So thank you very much for joining me today for my quilt and my quick make. Have a go yourself. Check out Margreth and was it Margreth? I'm sorry. And Toni. Check out their channels because they have got some great, fabulous ideas. Thank you so much for joining me. Please take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. See ya. Hi everyone, it's Kay here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be doing R, the letter R, for hashtag ABC April 2025, which is hosted by Margreth of Seven Plaza and Toni of Crafty by Toni, and the links are below in the description box. And I would suggest you go over there and have a look because they're doing wonderful things. Anyway, and there's loads of other people out there doing wonderful things as well. So just check the hashtag ABC April 2025. So I'm going to have a go at making a ruffle for R. I have never made a ruffle. So here we go. I've got some dress pattern paper here because that's what I've decided I'm going to try and do. I'm going to fold it over just to give it a bit of strengthening because it's so thin. Sewing paper, sewing tissue paper, or so delicate with it. Perfect way to use up your sewing patterns. Right, ruffles. In my head I sort of know what I'm doing, but do I actually really know what I'm doing? So I'm actually going to start this end, and I'm going to just pleat it a little bit there. And because I'm not going to sew it, because I don't trust myself with this thin paper, just tack it down with some glue and another one. A little bit of glue. Slow process, I know, as I'm gluing it rather than sewing it. Probably be a lot easier if I sewed it, but my sewing machine's not set up and a bit loath to try and do it by freehand. Okay, so that's basically what I'm doing, just pushing the paper over, folding it down like that. How big one do you reckon I should do? No idea. This is going to be another quick make. Ooh. Because some of the other things I haven't got the stuff to make them with, like the roller decks, so that's going to go in my what's what I'm going for. It's going to go in my journal. I can go that way, or I can go that way. I could decorate my ruffle, but would that make it a snippet? I don't know. No, No idea. See, if I did that, you won't be able to see it, would you? I could do a thin one. I could find a thin one. Thin one. This will do. Just to have a little bit of texture. You know, I thought this was a great idea doing this lace with paper clips, but it's not. I'm just going to do that like that. Just do a decoration right down the middle. Perhaps I'll do this side. That's coming up. Put the glue there. On the line maybe. So you can still see it, and it looks a little bit prettier. Could add something to each one, a little flower or something or other. I don't have any flowers that big though, that's the thing. Button? No. Just trying to see if it needs anything else. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. Do I want to ink it up? Maybe that would make it sort of stand out a bit more. But that was going to be hard, isn't it, Kay? Because you've already stuck it down. Too hard. Yeah, too hard. Okay, so where am I going to put it in my journals? That one there. Sort of a bit too much of a contrast, isn't it, really? There. I'm actually going to trim it because it's a bit too wide for my liking. After all, then I bet you I'm snipping off half the glue here. Usually a ruffle is on the page facing somebody. So, like on the edge of the page like that. Still want to trim off a bit more. It's thinner down this end than it is down the other end. Whoops. Not straight at all. But hard to cut a ruffle straight. Oh. Right. I'm going to leave the lace on the outside part, I think. Does it go off the page or on the page? Isn't that terrible? Because I've never made one before. I can't remember. I think I've seen an example, but I'm just going to stick it there on the edge, right on the edge. So have a go at making a ruffle or a rug doing rub-ons, or I've actually got rub-ons, so I could have done some decorating, but that's alright, that'll be fine the way it is because it matches all the tones. So there's my ruffle, my paper ruffle. First time ever. Yes, well done, Kay. Is it Barbara for Non-Drug Flow? She says you should compliment yourself, and I've heard Margreth or Margreth or Toni congratulate themselves as well. So yeah, it looks a little bit, because it's just sticking back on the other side a little bit. That's all you want, just a little bit of poking out, because it's so fragile. I don't know if I want to stick it out too much. So there you go. Actually did it. Thank you so much for joining me. Never know what you can do when you put your mind to it. Thanks again for watching me. Thanks for everybody who has subscribed, and thank you for all those people that are making comments. And again, I want to particularly thank Susan. Thank you, Susan. You're a gem. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. See ya.